Good day, and thank you so much for checking out the Sportsline Podcast here on CHCH and our multimedia platform. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Hey, as I'm so proud to brag, the Golden Horseshoe is a hotbed for the development and growth for winning teams, athletes, executives, as well as broadcasters, and this is the podcast that we're honored to shine the spotlight on those individuals. So, let's get down to business. Born with a round ball in her hand, this member of Bishop Ryan High School has blossomed on and off the basketball court. As an OCAA student-athlete studying sports management at Humber, Maria Suriani built her resume working with her hometown Tiger Cats and Ontario basketball. The birth of the Canadian Elite Basketball League opened doors for further growth, and this woman broke down the door, climbing up the executive ladder as a manager and director of operations with the Hamilton Honey Badgers. Oh, how I miss them. And now the Scarborough Shooting Stars. Maria Suriani, so pleased and happy to have you here. As we were just talking before we went on, you don't even realize, I think, the impact that you are making on the sports world right now. So I think I'm looking forward to our chat and getting to know a little bit about you. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. That was a big welcome. Mm-hmm. I appreciate all the kind words, and I'm excited to be here.
Well, a lot of it is earned. So, I mean, let's talk about this. I mean, basketball has been at your heart for probably as long as you can ever think of. It's been a passion, isn't it?
Yeah, ever since I think grade 4, I tried out for my school elementary school team. My dad was the coach, so he might have had a hand in putting me on the team. But ever since then, I've loved basketball. I played for 15 years. Now I work in basketball, so it's been good.
And what was it? Was it something that you saw on television, or like what was it that about that particular sport? I think every once in a while when we grow up, there is something that attracts us. But what was it about basketball that said, I got to do that?
Honestly, I was fortunate. I played tons of sports when I was younger. I remember I was in house league. So I played house league for Blessed Sacrament, which is like a pretty big name in Hamilton, basketball organization. So I was at the house league where they're like creating the teams, and they announced that there was rep tryouts. Mm-hmm. And all I remember is all the boys in my class always had rep hockey, and they always went to tournaments, and rep was so cool. So I'm like to my dad, can I try out for rep? And he's like, yeah, sure. So ever since then, I was gifted or good at the sport, so that helped. And then I just immediately loved it. I loved all my friends, all the connections that I made in basketball. Everyone from when I was little growing up, they were pretty big impacts in my life. So yeah, it just stuck as a passion.
When you go from that next level to the OCAA and the competition ramps up, but you were ready for that, weren't you?
Yeah, my first year at Humber, it was actually a team of all rookies. We had 2 vets. One was actually Megan McPeak, who's also from Hamilton.
Okay. She
now works in Washington in the NBA and WNBA, which is amazing, doing broadcasting. So she was my only vet. So it was a team full of rookies. So yeah, the competition was different than high school. In high school, I did play in the AAU circuit. So a lot of my teammates went on to get scholarships in the States. So I was always playing at a kind of high competition level. But yeah, going into college, it was just the next step: practice every day, training, meal prep. School was a lot more than high school, I guess. Yeah.
So what kind of player were you? Were you the defensive type? Were you the baller? You give me the ball, I got to knock it down. What kind of player were you? I've done some research, and apparently you were pretty good.
I was a point guard, so I like to facilitate, get my teammates to score. I was a little bit of a shooter. My favorite thing was taking charges. Mm-hmm. I know that's kind of weird, but I probably hold the record at Humber for most charges taken. So honestly, that was my jam.
I think that's fantastic, because that means you like to play a little defense, and you got to shoot to balance that offense and the defense. Now, while you're playing at Humber, you're also there for another reason there, to play basketball. Obviously, a big lug, but sports management becomes part of your life. What was it again about sports management that said, this is where I need to be?
So I started at Humber in fitness and health promotion.
Okay.
I was due to graduate in January. So I had a year and a half left of eligibility. I didn't really want to leave school in the middle of a basketball year because then I would waste that year. So towards the beginning of the first semester, I was thinking like, what program can I just take at the end of this year just to, finish my year of basketball. And then I read a Sports Illustrated article, and it was about this man who lived in Compton with his kids, and he kind of grew up around, gangs, drugs, violence, and he didn't want that and there was sports management. I was like the second year of it, so it was pretty new at Humber when I started. And I just was like, this is perfect. My classes from fitness and health, some of them were equal, I guess, to the classes in sports management. So I didn't have to be in that program as long. It worked out perfectly. And originally I wanted to take sports management because I wanted to, work with at-risk kids. I love sport. I wanted to be able to bring kids sport to kind of help change their life.
That's a huge thing. And at that point, so you actually got a goal already formed. You've developed a passion on the court, off the court at this point right now. And I guess you're at the point in your life right now too where you're motivated, you're seeking direction, you're making that next step, because I think that's something that we all go through at that point of our lives where it's like, okay, I finished high school, I finished college, what do I do next? And the Tiger Cats end up being your first little gig, isn't it?
Yeah, so during my sports management, we had 3 internships that we had to do. My second one was with the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the retail department. That was actually the first time I ever applied for a job or an internship, didn't get a response, and actually took initiative to reach out again. And I think that kind of helped and sparked in him giving me an interview. Then I got the internship with the Ticats. So that was fun. It was during the Guelph season. So I worked in retail. So we were popping up tents. It was raining, blizzards and tornadoes every game.
That was a crazy weather.
Yeah, that was crazy. So I had my internship there, and then I just built a really good relationship with my manager. And it just so happened that after I graduated, right when I graduated, my coordinator, or the coordinator at the Ticats, who was technically my boss when I was there, he was leaving. So I just naturally fit into that role. She told me to apply. I interviewed with the director, and then I got the job and started my career with the Tiger Cats.
Well, this is amazing again, and this is part of, I think, everybody's story at some point. And you just kind of brought it up that your first initial reach out to the Tiger Cats was a no. And how we deal with rejection, was that tough for you at the point, or what made you say, I got to knock down the door again?
Well, it was the Tiger Cats. I mean, I've also been a Tiger Cats fan my whole life. I remember going to the, Eastern Finals with my dad when we won by a field goal. I forget who it was against. So, obviously I wanted to work there. I needed an internship. It was coming up. It was almost the end of August, and I had to start in September. I didn't hear back from them. And I thought, what's the worst that can happen? I reach out again, and the director doesn't respond to me, or I get an interview. And immediately I reached out again, and I got the interview. So I guess it paid off.
Knocking on the doors a couple of times, not always once, and you got to learn to take that rejection. I think that's amazing that you did that. What'd you learn there?
Honestly, hard work. That was the biggest thing. I started my career in retail operations, which isn't, I work in sport, but I work in retail. I don't think people really take retail seriously. But honestly, retail is like its own business within the business. You have to do marketing. You have to purchase and look at trends and what's selling and know what to buy, different costs. Organization. Again, I started in Guelph. My first 2 seasons with the Tiger Cats, we were in and out of the stadium because it wasn't completely built yet. So that was a lot of work in itself. I had a great manager. She's like my mentor to this day, Jessica Berry. She's great. So she was always, doing everything with us. She was never telling us what to do. She was always right there beside us, packing clothes, counting, setting up grid walls, setting up all the kiosks in the stadium, unpacking at 1:00 in the morning when we had to bring everything back to our office. So I mean, at the time, it was really fun for me. It was cool. I didn't really realize what I was learning, but then after I moved on from the Tiger Cats, I noticed that I was bringing all those different work ethic trends
yeah,
into my other jobs. So I think that was the biggest thing, just like hard work and organization starting.
So next is Ontario basketball, right?
Yes.
What now you've as you said, you've developed a little bit of a mojo of like, okay, I know what I'm doing a little bit here. I'm new in the business, and now you get to go back to that earlier love of basketball on a provincial basis.
Yeah. So there was a position with Ontario basketball. It was just a contract position, special projects coordinator. Like I said, I was in retail with the Tiger Cats, but that's obviously not what I really wanted to do in terms of my career. So I applied. I had contacts from when I played in OBA. I knew some of the people that worked at OBA, so they recognized my name.
Contacts, building that contact list. Yeah.
They recognized my name, and so they reached out for an interview. I actually, to be honest, so I got the job, special projects coordinator. But to kind of get ahead, I kind of had to step back a little bit. So I did take a pay cut from the Tiger Cats. I went from working around the corner from my house. I'm from Hamilton, to the OBA office, which was in Whitby. So altogether it was a 6-hour commute.
Wow.
But honestly, it worked out in the end. So it was the right step. And I'm glad, some people at the time, people were happy and excited for me to get this new position. But at the same time, there was doubters like, you're going to make less money. It's really far away. Are you sure you want to make that commute? And I think I just wanted to take the risk and see how it turned out. And it turned out well. I
got to ask that question then. Like, why did you know that was the right move for you?
Well, firstly, it was in basketball. I loved basketball. I got to do so many things at OBA that I experienced as a kid playing in OBA. And so now to be on the other side as like a worker who got to bring that to children was awesome.
Leadership.
Yes. Yeah. But I don't know. I think I just didn't want to get stuck in that retail niche because I had been there for 5 years. I kind of had to do something different, and I needed experience somewhere else in order to, make those next steps. So I just thought that was a good decision. It was a year contract. So at the end of the day, if it didn't work out, then I would just, find a job back in Hamilton. And it did end up working out. I got taken on full time in a different position, actually coaching operations. So yeah,
you're really building your resume at this point now. If I may ask, how old are you at this point?
Maybe 28.
Okay, so so a lot of things are just going right. This is a path that we're taking you down here, folks. Again, because I think the best part of this all is, Mike Morreale and his people all of a sudden come up with something that was talked about for decades, was the fact that we needed, for improvement of basketball in this country, was to have a domestic basketball league in this country that would, bring in players from the States, but allow Canadians to develop in and out of the hard court. But for you, the development of the CEBL meant opportunities for you. And here's, again, your hometown team, the Honey Badgers. How'd that all start out?
Connections again. I actually wasn't even looking for that job. I had seen that the CEBL was kind of coming into play, but I've heard about other Canadian basketball leagues in the past, and I wasn't really sure about the league, so I just kind of put it to the side. I had a friend who worked for MLSC, and she got me an interview with NBA Canada, actually. And while I was kind of prepping for that interview, I saw the CEBL again. So I'm like, let me just, take a look into this. And the president of the Hamilton team, John Lashway, he actually worked at the Tiger Cats when I was at the Tiger Cats. He did consulting for them. So I had messaged my old manager at the Tiger Cats, and I showed him the job description, at the time it was manager of operations. And I asked him, do you think I could do this job? And he was like, 100% you could do that job. So I'm like, can you reach out to John for me and just like put in a good word? And that's exactly what he did. And John emailed me probably a couple days later, and we had an interview, and 2 weeks later I had the job.
Well, I think you can attest here. I mean, John has experience, as you said, with Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, with the Raptors. I think we can agree. I don't even know where to start. Quality person. Person you could learn a lot from.
To this day, I mean, I left the Honey Badgers a season and a half ago, but we're always texting every day. I'm always asking him, advice, different directions on things that I'm doing with Scarborough, and he's always there. He's always been a great asset, and like Jess, he's a really good big mentor for me.
So the Honey Badgers, it's interesting, and for those that remember, I mean, it's only been a short time ago since they moved over for, I guess it would have been the construction or redevelopment of First Ontario Centre. They have made a move to Brampton, which is, sad for basketball. I went to a couple of those games. You probably saw me courtside.
Front row, courtside.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I love the quality of basketball. I think this league is on the complete uptick. I think it's being run by the proper people. I agree with you. There was some, some question marks because we had seen some other leagues come and go, fly-by-night operations, the wrong people running it. But I think this is something that is here to stay. Now, in terms of here to stay, you had a long little term with Hamilton, winning championships as well, too. Can you talk to me about those years and what they meant to you?
Honestly, that job was probably turned into my dream job. I got to experience doing so many things. I made so many personal and professional connections with so many people. The Honey Badgers was a great time. I started as the manager of operations, which is really just, a little bit of business admin, like office admin. I ran the social, and I helped with, I think, like game day operations. Our first year, it was really because of like different staff coming in and out. It was basically me, John Lashway, and Mike Svikvich, who was another person on our staff who ended up being the president in Ottawa. Mm-hmm. But so it started with just us three, and then by the end I was pretty much leading everything that wasn't sales related. So from social to retail, basketball ops, basketball information, communications, I was pretty much doing everything. And it was just amazing. I got tons of experience. First of all, I took on new roles. I wasn't scared of taking on new roles. I think that's kind of important. Anytime John really needed help with anything, I was there. I'll try to do that. And then I was successful, so it kind of just went on my plate. It ended up being my dream job. I loved everything about it. Even looking back now, I'm kind of sad sometimes where I'm like, oh, I don't get to, plan the social posts, or I don't get to plan who's acting at halftime of our shows. But it was great.
And you're in your hometown, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's got to be a major plus. And I would see you at the games, business suit, walking around, looking very important, I may say too. Like there was no doubt that was that woman seems to be in charge of whatever's going on here. Which obviously you stood out there to me that as someone that that was important with the franchise. And I would see John with you, whatever. And John was of course just sitting back watching the game, and you were running around doing all the business stuff. But I thought that was really, really impressive. And I think those years must have been good too, because amongst it all, there was action on the court, and you won a championship as well too. And then there was the COVID year, which I thought must have been crazy too.
Yeah. So back to being in my hometown, it was awesome. I also did community. So I was always bringing the players to different schools, and just thinking back again to when I was a kid, how cool it would be to have like a professional athlete in my gym leading a basketball camp for me. Like that's awesome. Even kids that weren't, necessarily into sports or into basketball, they just loved it. So that was really cool. And then the COVID year was different. The CEBL did a great job. They hosted everyone in Niagara. We, followed COVID protocols. It was a great little tournament that we had. And then even the following year, it was kind of half COVID. But I think I just got really close to everyone because you're kind of like in that circle, you don't really want to break out of it because of the COVID. So I built a really good relationship, with the coaches, with the players. Our staff that year was amazing. Yeah, that was awesome. And then the following year we won the championship. The championship team was the best thing I've ever been part of. Those guys worked so hard day in and day out. They're always, on the basketball court. The coaches put in a ton of work, and our business operations really kind of excelled that year, I think. So to, end that year with the championship, and it was like a crazy, I don't know if anyone watched the game, but it was a crazy finish.
I remember that year.
It was just really special, and I'm happy that I ended my time at the Honey Badgers with that championship.
Well, it was so crazy, that championship match, that one Drizzy Drake was not too happy with the commissioner of the CEBL. He was not happy with the Hamilton Honey Badgers. And oddly enough, he was a big supporter of the Scarborough Shooting Stars. And then lo and behold, Maria is now flipping coat. She goes from the Honey Badgers to the Shooting Stars. Why and what happened and was it just a better opportunity?
Kind of, yeah. So Hamilton, with all the stuff going on with the arena, the Honey Badgers had to relocate. They found a home in Brampton. So the following year I was going to commute regardless, whether it was to Brampton or do something else. And then I got an opportunity at Scarborough. They were a second year team at this point. This was going to be their second year. I thought that I can, go in and kind of help them with different areas because of my experience with Honey Badgers that they weren't necessarily so successful in. But again, Scarborough has great people behind them as well. Like you said, Drake is a fan because one of his best friends is part owner, Nico Carino, OVO Nico, and as well as Sam.
Big deal.
As well as Sam Ibrahim, who is a huge philanthropist in Scarborough. So both of them putting their minds together, I thought it was just, a great opportunity to kind of expand my network, try new things, and kind of take on a new role and new, I can't think of the word, but not difficulties, but just like,
strategies,
like new. Yeah.
So, and was this a job that was a step up, or was there more? I don't know. What kind of supposed to say? More responsibilities put on you in this job than what you had with the Honey Badgers?
Actually, it was kind of. So I would say it was same level. I went from director to director. But I kind of, got to reel it in a little bit with Honey Badgers because I did do so much. Sometimes I kind of felt overwhelmed. Like I didn't necessarily maybe do each of my jobs to the best of my ability because I had so many hats that I wore. So with Scarborough, it was really mostly communications. That's the role I'm in now, director of communications. So really, communicating everything to fans, to media, creating those media relationships, helping with broadcasts, helping with basketball information, writing player bios. I could really, dive into those things specifically and do a better job even maybe than I did in Hamilton, and also do a good job for Scarborough because they didn't necessarily have that before.
Well, I think and with the league now and its growth right now, every game being televised right now, whether it be on CBC, GEM, but now we're seeing more games on TSN in this upcoming season too. So from a media standpoint, the media guy here, having someone like yourself to give us that information, the bios, inform us of what the trends of the players, who's hot, who's cold. It's important. It's important for growth of the league and certainly to put on a good TV product. So you would certainly understand from my standpoint what I need to put together those broadcasts.
Yeah.
It's got to be good for you. And now you're understanding a bit of the television side of it too. Yeah.
I didn't really know the television side, so that was a new thing that I learned. Also, getting all that basketball information, it's cool because I'm obviously a basketball fan, so I like doing it. I like doing the stats. I like seeing who's leading, things like that, trends. it's kind of interesting, like you say, there was a game last year where one of our players for Scarborough, Cat Barber, he was on track to become the first CEBL player to hit 1,000 career points in the CEBL. So I had figured that out through, looking at his stats. So I ran over to broadcast and I was like, 10 more points, and Cat Barber is the first player. He didn't end up getting it. A player from Montreal did, but he did end up becoming, by the end of the season, he's the CEBL all-time leading scorer, which I guess, I kind of helped contribute to that, and it ended up being like a big thing.
Let's go back. I actually forgot to bring this up there because I think this was such a big deal, and I think it was a big deal for Scarborough. I think it was a big deal for the Honey Badgers at that time, and the Hamilton Honey Badgers I talk about. Was the game would have been Scarborough's first home date. That they were playing when they went in the league in their first year. And I know you were representing Hamilton at the time, and I came there as a fan, actually. And I guess Commissioner Morelli set me up with some good seats and whatever, and I sit down and feeling pretty good because I'm pretty front row.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's Alec Manoa, and there's Scotty Barnes, right? And then all of a sudden there's Marcia Ian, there's all these important people, and the place is filling up. And all of a sudden there's this posse of people coming in, and I'm like, okay, this has got to be a big deal, and it's Drake. I'm like, what's going on? And then I think to myself, my God, Scarborough's got J. Cole on the court as well too. That was a wild day, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really wild. I think everyone kind of had that day marked on their calendar, especially it was Scarborough's home opener, first game ever. Like you said, lots of big names in the building. But at the end of the day, all those people are basketball fans. They were there to support, whether it was teammates that they used to play with, because like you said, the talent in the CEBL is really good. So a lot of those players probably played maybe college ball with or against Scotty Barnes, or, Jalen Harris was on the team at the time. He was actually drafted by the Raptors. And then everyone else in the stands, they might have been friends with, I don't know, the owners or things like that. So it was cool. But in Scarborough, it's kind of like, that's just how it is there for them.
It's like a show.
It's just like, I don't know how to explain it. The atmosphere there and the vibes, they're all there to have a good time. They enjoy basketball. There's big people in the stands, but they're not being huge like fans, I guess. You know what I mean? It's kind of just typical, normal for them. So that's kind of cool that those people, got to come to the game and just enjoy it and not just have like the fanfare around them. It was really about Scarborough versus Hamilton.
And you're right. And you guys put a licking on them at that game too, if I remember correctly too. And you're right. The Scarborough experience, because I've gone back, it's as they say, not to be, because I'm an old man using that, it's quite a vibe.
Yeah.
Right? It really is.
Yeah, it is.
Because there's a lot of people there. They're into the ball. Great music's being played. And obviously you recognize that as part of the show. Because let's be honest, sports now, as you're doing right now, it's more than just a game. It's a show.
Yeah. It's definitely a culture in Scarborough, and they have really fun, exciting, enjoyable atmosphere. But yeah, I think the CEBL, John used to have a saying, come for the show, stay for the game. The CEBL really, wants to put on a spectacle for people. The basketball is the main attraction, obviously, but there's, DJs. On championship weekend, we have a whole concert series that goes on. They have basketball tournaments for kids. They have an awards gala. Like, there's tons that goes on outside of the basketball, which is really cool. In the CEBL, I don't know if they do this in other leagues, but they actually play music while the players are playing.
I think lacrosse is the only one.
Yeah, okay. But in terms of basketball, like, they definitely don't do that in Europe or anything. In the NBA, they obviously have their crowd chants, but that's just like another step where, the CEBL wants to really entertain their fans.
Well, they've done a great job too, and I think they're growing the league in the right markets. Montreal and Ottawa, seemingly a big success. Now 2 teams, I guess, in British Columbia. The middle of the country is taken care of. But one of the things when I glance through the rosters and I look at the staffs and the executives of many of these teams in the CEBL, I'm noticing a trend. And you're obviously a very, very important part of it. And that's women being part of this league. And there's a little board here. Can you read this to me? Because I know this is something that you wrote. And if we can put up this board of you, obviously, I don't know if you can read that, but what did it? I mean, our fans can you read that?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you read it?
I've watched this league grow year after year with major contributions from women at every level. Their hard work and ideas motivate me every day, and I'm proud to work alongside them.
What does this mean to you?
Honestly, there's so many great women in the CBL, in sport in general. With the Ticats, there was women at OBA, even when I did my other internships. But all the women are such hard workers. They are on the ground running, getting things. They get stuff done. And, you know, in Montreal, there's a woman president, Annie. She's great. All over the league, you know, there's women coaches now, women on the basketball staff. But I think I'm proud to say that I work with, like, any woman in the league, with whether it's my team, a different team, the league. They're all role models. They're all successful. They're all professional. And they do really contribute to the success of the league. Maybe, you know, they're not front and center. They're not the commissioner. Yeah. You don't like see them as much as you might see Mike, but even Mike is very appreciative of the women in the league and what we contribute. And yeah, I'm just happy that the CBL is so diverse in that way.
Well, I can appreciate that, and I think that's a great thing. And this is not just the CEBL. This is every sport right now. So I'll ask you this question there, because it really is becoming, you know, doors are opening, and it's about time, quite honestly. When you look at what you've accomplished at this point of your young life, quite honestly, what's the big dream? Do you have, or are you just kind of feeling it out still, or is there something down the road that you're trying to reach out at?
I get this question a lot, like, oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? But I'm doing what I want to do. You know, I work in professional sport. I didn't even set out really to work in pro sport. Like I said, I wanted to start with at risk and nonprofit, and I would love to do that as well. I think it's great that I go to work every day. I love my job. I don't ever dread it. So that's like the biggest thing.
That's only about 10% of the world.
I get to experience cool things too, which you don't really take in when you're working, but I'm, like you said, I'm back of house at a basketball game and a celebrity like J. Cole walks by me. And to me, it's just like, okay, he's just a basketball player on the Scarborough team, and he wants to win, and he wants to, you know, excel at basketball. But to other people, they're like, whoa, that's so cool. So I think when I stop and kind of look at those scenarios, I'm like, wow, I really am lucky that I get to, you know, have those experiences. But I think in the future, obviously, it would be cool to work for one of, like, a major sports league, you know. I love basketball, but I love football. I like hockey. So NFL, NBA, even if I could get a job with an NCAA school, I think that would be really great. I do like the operation side of things. I think I'm good at that, but I do like the comms and, you know, the sport info side as well.
Well, I'm cheering for you. I'll tell you that.
Thanks.
And I know that for every one of us in our lives, there are motivation. There are people that motivate us. There are people that push us, people that make us angry, people that keep us going maybe when on those days where you don't really feel like doing it. I put up a picture of someone, and you tell me what this person means to you. Because I have a feeling, at least based on your socials, that there's a meaningful connection there.
Yes, that's my dad. He's definitely very influential in my life. He has instilled hard work in me and my sisters. definitely, he was our coach growing up, so he got us into sport. He's always been there. He worked in London, he worked in Toronto, and he was always home to drive us to basketball practice. He drove us to, Memphis for a basketball tournament or Florida for a basketball tournament. Always kind of put his girls first, my mom as well, for sure. But I think, seeing him, he's done a lot in his career. He owned a restaurant, he worked small minimum wage jobs, and now he does very well in sales. So just seeing his hard work and hard work ethic kind of motivates me every day. He's also, I go to him with the questions about everything, about my job, about life, about finances, about my friends. He's always there to listen and kind of direct me. So yeah, he's a big part of my life.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Because we do need these people.
Yeah.
We really do need these people. And we need people like you in the sports world that are making a difference. And again, from where I am, and again, getting to see you in Hamilton and kind of seeing you on the socials and kind of seeing you what you do. I've always kind of admired what you do, and I think there's great things yet to come. I can feel it. I can see the drive.
Thanks.
that where you're going, and that you're a success already, and that even greater things are going to happen. And on top of that, as I said earlier, you're a great example to others as well too. Sometimes we don't realize the example that we're setting for others, and especially in a time where women are becoming more prominent in the sports world, like you're laying down tracks for people. So congratulations on that. I can only wish you great luck in wherever you want to go.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. You'll join us again when you got your next big gig?
Yes, next championship.
Right on. We look forward to it, and good luck to Scarborough. Folks, that's your Sportsline podcast for the day. And as you've just seen and heard, we love talking to people that love sports and are making a difference in sports. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote, the Sportsline podcast do want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. And if you do have something to say, please comment. Hey, and check out all of our other unbelievable podcasts. Louis B's got the Trending Now. That's coming up at the end of the week. Be sure to check it out. Hey, for the wonderful people that make the Sportsline podcast possible, thank you so very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.